Today on Pack Mentality, we're going to be talking back with Coach Aaron. He's back on again, ladies and gentlemen. You excited?
By popular demand,
By
I
popular
imagine.
demand, yes. I mean, great reviews and listens on our last podcast we did together. So today we're going to be talking about what Aaron did in the last year to lose 40 pounds. It's pretty impressive.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. I'm actually, pretty impressed with myself, proud of myself. So
You can brag a little bit. That's really good. But when I saw your before and after pictures when you sent them to me, I was like, wow, I don't even remember you looking like that.
Yeah.
To me, you always look like how you do now.
oh, sweet. Well, I don't know what that means, like I'm a lot thinner now.
Yeah.
You know,
And you look jacked.
a lot leaner.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Go ahead.
I think it was, I just never took my shirt off and I always wore big shirts. It's a strategy I use when I'm overweight.
Yeah. So that's funny. No, because I mean, it was weird because even when you first joined with us, just as a member, you were already pretty fit and you already moved pretty well. And so when I saw the before and after, though, the contrast between both, I'm like, oh my god, like that's why I think before and afters are so powerful and so important because you don't realize, what change does over very small time to the point where you don't even notice it or even see it until you see those two extremes.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great way to, feel good about your progress is to realize where you've come from, right? And what you used to be able to do and now how much better that is or how much you've improved in certain aspects.
Yeah.
It's always good to see that contrast, like you're saying.
No, that's great. Let's talk numbers. So, what was your starting weight roughly before you lost those 40 pounds?
So that would be like last summer. The heaviest I got was at the end of vacation, I was about 228 to 230.
Okay.
So pretty heavy, at least by my standards, I suppose. And now I'm sitting at about like 183 is my lifted body.
Okay. 183. Okay. So you've lost significant amount of weight. Did you gain any muscle during that time?
So my muscle has pretty much stayed around the same.
Okay.
I wasn't expecting to like gain a bunch of muscle,
Yeah.
but if anything, a pound or two. I was probably about like 100, low hundreds when I was that heavy.
Right.
And then on the last in body I took, I was 102.
Okay. Interesting. And that makes sense because, well, I mean, not that makes sense, but it's really surprising that actually you did losing in muscle because most of the times when people cut, I know when I cut, I always lose muscle,
Mm.
like a little too much that I want. So today, but the fact you were able to retain muscle at all and stay roughly around the same is actually incredible.
Yeah, really nice. I did go up a couple times. So like up, my highest was maybe 105. So, I mean, that could be just from like the time of day and stuff like that, but I've always gravitated around that range. So I was pretty happy with that, that it didn't decrease a crazy amount or anything.
Totally awesome, man. Well, let's talk about what you did. I mean, we obviously that's why you're here. So, I guess, well, what led to that decision in the first place? That you want to lose weight.
So at the end of, or so last summer when I was heavy, we had Wadapalooza coming up. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to like really dial it in. And, it went good for a few weeks, but then I always had the mindset of like, oh, like I could eat fast food here or I could have a few beers here and like it doesn't take away that much. And I think what would happen is you do it once and then it's easy to do it the second time. It's easier to do it the third time. And then before you know it, it's a habit you have, you know? So that kind of happened the first time. And leading up to Wadapalooza, I was in a lot better shape than the 230. I was maybe like 210 or so. But I had that mindset of like, oh, I'll do all right. I'm not like, I won't completely embarrass myself. So, these habits are okay. And then so Wadapalooza happened, and then I ended up doing a High Rocks later on, and it kind of the same thing. I was like, oh, that's a lot of running. I should probably start running more. And I also shifted my diet a little bit, but just like Wadapalooza, I was like, I could run 8K, okay, like I'm not going to win the race, but I'll be able to get through it and do okay. And so that was again my mindset going into that. And then after High Rocks in February, that was really what the turning point that happened, and where I acquired the habits that like I have now, and the ones that I'm more proud of.
Okay. No, that's awesome. That's a great story. And it's funny what you said that like one small decision can lead you into something that's habitual. That you're like, oh, that's okay. But then it just becomes repetitive like that. So that's really interesting. And I think all of us struggle with that at some point in our lives, so on maybe different things, maybe just not nutrition, but the workouts in general. So what was the first thing that you decided to change when you want to start cutting?
The first thing was stopping drinking. Like that was I would say the biggest catalyst and the one that I paid attention to the most was just to stop drinking because it was more of a habit affecting everything rather than just like the food I eat or I mean, it did affect that and it affected training. It affected how I feel the next day. But I always was just like, I can get through it. I can push through it. I can be uncomfortable. And I mean, it's forcing yourself to be uncomfortable and doing it to yourself. It's a self-sabotage in a way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the big ones. No,
You want is no eye on the alcohol. Okay. And what was the next thing you did?
prioritizing protein was the next biggest one I would say. And with that, like literally that's all I counted was get 200 grams of protein and then everything else just kind of fell into place. Like before working out, I'd have some carbs here and there. And then I would just eat like full fat stuff. So I wouldn't eat like lean ground beef. I would just get whatever one had, whichever one tasted good, to be honest, because I wanted to be able to stick with the habit. And I felt like if I was eating leaner stuff and it was drier, I'd find a way to not do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make the food as tasty as possible and just prioritize protein essentially.
Yeah, I really like that strategy because I feel a lot of times people get in this all or nothing mindset where like I have to do this and it has to be like 93% lean, ground beef. It has to be, I have to eat vegetables with every meal. I have to eat, yeah, I have to cut out all this, and then it's just really overwhelming at first. Whereas I like your approach of where you're like, hey, I'm just gonna make this taste as good as I can for now, and I can always make adjustments as I go.
Absolutely.
So a
And
little more sustainable.
in addition to that, it's not like I would have zero of anything else. Like if the kids were eating something, I would have a couple bites, or I was just paying way more attention to the protein I ate and filling my plate with that.
Mm. Oh no, that's awesome. Eh, was there another thing? Is there a third thing that you did?
So like with this transformation, the 3 points were no drinking, prioritizing protein, and then training. And I was basically training that much already, which is kind of crazy that I didn't change up my training too much.
Okay.
I added some like more burn. I think I was more consistent with that. I was probably doing the burn from the Build and Burn program 3 to 4 times a week. And I really enjoyed that. So I think that in addition to I started running a lot more. I think as I got lighter, I was able to run a lot further. And I think that helped burn a lot of calories as well. But yeah, the third is just training consistently and 5 to 6 times per week is what I settled on, just kind of what happened
Yeah.
while being here and finding times to work out.
Yeah. And that's quite a testament to how important it is to have your nutrition dialed in and your lifestyle dialed in the other 23 hours of the day that you're not in the gym. I think a lot of times we get this mindset where like the gym will take care of it all. So I go to the gym, I can do whatever I want. Go to the gym, do whatever I want afterwards. And that's not necessarily the case. I think the results always happen outside the gym. Like even if your nutrition is dialed, if you're not recovering well enough, probably need to take a day off. Like that always happens with the recovery, not necessarily the training itself.
100%. And the nutrition in all of the 23 hours, like you're saying, is so important when it comes to your health and fitness and making progress, even just like with aesthetics and your body composition, but also with your lifts and in your skill work, like it improves, I mean, all of it.
Yeah, it really does like your recovery and just how frequently you can train. Your joints feel better. I'm just curious though, did you see any kind of improvement in like your mood or like your sleep or anything else like that? Kind of like non-tangibles?
Yeah, to some degree. I always kind of like am working on sleep. One thing I can say is I used to take a lot more naps. Now I don't take naps as often. So I do have more energy during the day. Uh, but yeah, sleep is always something I am working on just because long hours and early mornings and uh So as far as like getting more sleep, not necessarily, but I do feel a lot better during the day. I don't feel like I'm just going to crash all of a sudden.
Mhm.
So I think that's just, being in a better place physically.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Uh, well, let's talk about the training. So we kind of covered your nutrition. Is there anything else you want to say about the nutrition
With
side?
nutrition, like, yeah, I didn't count calories. I didn't even really count the other macros. I just know I wasn't overeating on them because I would eat protein over all of this. So like breakfast, I would literally have, well, I guess it would be more like lunch because it's middle of the day, but I would have eggs, ground beef, bacon, and dude, I would eat like 10 pieces of bacon, so I wasn't really paying attention to like how much fat, how much carbs. Yeah. Literally the protein. And then I guess another thing I could say about the protein is trying to find better sources. So not just eating crap like a lot of the protein stuff that's out there. Right. Like don't get me wrong, I tried it, but most of my stuff was higher quality protein sources and whole foods.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
What would you say were your favorite protein sources?
So I had like the meal I ate every single day was anywhere from like 3/4 to a pound of ground beef. I'd put Trader Joe taco seasoning on it. It's the best taco
Yeah,
seasoning
taco seasoning is
ever.
great.
I'd have as many pieces of bacon as I wanted, and then usually 3 or 4 eggs.
Okay.
And that was like my lunch that I would go because I go home in the middle of the day, and that's when I'd have my big meal.
Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. Now, is there anything else you want to say about the nutrition before we move on to the training side?
Mm, no, not currently.
Okay.
Let's move
Cool.
on to training.
Nice. Awesome. So when it comes to so the training, I know you said that you didn't really mix up your training all that much. Were there any changes at all that you made during the adjustments that you made for that training?
With training. Just adding in a little bit more cardio in the morning, I would say is a bigger adjustment. Um, and then I think just feeling better for normal training sessions is the big difference. Like I would just get more out of it. I'd be able to push harder, and like lift heavier. To just get more out of the sessions that I am doing
Right.
because I'm in a better place physically and mentally.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. And it's crazy that when you do dial in the nutrition, how much better you do feel when you actually wake up the next morning from a tougher training session. Yeah. Were there any other things that you felt that once you got your nutrition dialed, how it affected your training in a positive way?
Other things, yeah, like because when you eat massive meals like that have a lot of carbs in them, you get more bloated and things
Yeah.
like that. So, um, just the state I was in while training, it was easier to get into it, I would say. Like, my joints wouldn't be as bad, like I've had ankle problems in the past and that wouldn't be as inflamed. Yeah. So it's just a lot easier to get into training and then more motivating when you're actually seeing this progress and you feel good and you just get a lot more out of sessions.
Yeah. No, I agree because lately I've gotten my nutrition a little more dialed. I went through a cut as well. I mean, I didn't track my numbers. I should have, but uh, the big thing I noticed is that I get really like bloaty or puffy in my stomach, and it's hard for me to like. Then I get like that insulin spike, and then I crash at like 2 or 3 o'clock every day. I'm like, man, something's got to change. And so I just portioned out my meals better. My food quality was decent, but I cleaned that up a little bit. But I also made sure my portion sizes weren't too big because I noticed I would tend to overeat, especially right around lunchtime, because I wouldn't eat a lot in the morning because I would always need to burn. So I didn't want to feel like heavy. But then I would just be famished by like 1 or 2 o'clock. So I would eat, and then I always would notice right around 2 o'clock with my client that I'd start being like, "Oh my god, like like something's wrong." But like, honestly, I'm doesn't pass out. And then lately, I dialed that back in to where I have a little more energy, and I've just spaced my meals more throughout the day and eat smaller meals. And then I feel lighter in my training. I feel better. I feel like I have better blood flow. And I don't feel like I hit the ups and downs of blood sugar, which is nice.
And I would agree with that and with me as well. But I would have that kind of bigger meal in the middle of the day. And depending on my schedule that day, I would do like burn in the morning and then train in the afternoon. I always had about 3 or 4 hours in between the meal and training.
Yeah, that's nice.
And then I was able to have just a smaller meal for dinner.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what's worked for me is not eating a bunch in the morning. I do have snacks and things like that, but my big meal was middle of the day. I would have a period of digest or and rest, and then be able to train again. And the not feeling bloated, digesting food better was, yeah, such a benefit to training.
Yeah. Let's talk about like if you were going to coach someone through this. Let's say someone came to you and like, Aaron, I really want to lose 40 pounds in like the next 6 to 12 months. What would be the number, your top three things that you would do right now for that?
For somebody that wants to lose or make a transformation, honestly, the number one thing you can do is think about what the version of you that's accomplished that, have lost the 40 pounds. What what kind of habits does that person have? You know, and start applying those habits like right away. And unless you're just like completely unaware, like that certain things aren't going to help you accomplish your goals or help you get progress. Like in your heart that that's not what you should be eating.
Mhm.
So I mean and that's what I did. I went to my future self that has accomplished this and thought, okay, what are the habits that this version of Aaron has? And I started applying them,
Yeah.
now. And over time, if you do those habits long enough, you're gonna be that person. So I mean that's kind of the first thing is change your perception on what it is that you're doing right now, training, nutrition, your extracurricular habits.
Mhm.
Like really think about, are those getting you to where you want to go, or is it harming you? Is it making you further away from your goals?
Yeah.
So that's number one. And then what I would do is, okay, let's actually like write those things down and identify them. And and this is something I would do with them because some people just aren't aware of it. So you list all those things, and then now you look at your daily life, the things that you do each day, and you start applying those habits to your day now. And you do those long enough, you're gonna end up accomplishing that goal.
Yeah.
So it's just about identifying the habits and starting to apply those into your life.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it. And one thing, I don't know where I heard this, but someone else said this. So I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but they said success always exists in the vague, but failure in the specific. So I think that a lot of times, and I've used this before too, similar to what you said, is that I'll tell people, I'm like, well, what would you do to guarantee to not lose 40 pounds? What would those things be? And it's actually really easy. You would list it out. You'd be like, well, I would eat like crap. I would eat fast foods. I wouldn't eat vegetables. I wouldn't prioritize protein. I wouldn't track my macros. I wouldn't work out 4 to 6 times a week. I wouldn't, manage my sleep or my stress. This goes on. And not like just invert that list, and so that seems very similar. And it's funny how the human brain is wired like that.
Mhm.
So um
On the human brain, like being wired to your habits now and like how you identify as a person, right? You're gonna try to like your ego is gonna try to keep you there for as long as possible, and any new habits are gonna feel like hard to do or like you should be doing something different. But ultimately, like that's where the success lies,
yeah,
right? Is in those little changes in your habits that are, just trending towards progress and the person that you want to become.
yeah, no, it's so true. When you were going through this process of losing those 40 pounds in a year, what was the hardest habit you had to break, and how did you do it?
The hardest habit was at first is definitely drinking alcohol and eating sweets, I would say,
Mm,
because I freaking love sweets. I grew up on them basically,
yeah,
Um, but those are the two hardest. I would say with alcohol, it was just like I was saying, change my perception of what it's doing to me. Maybe even not maybe I like researching what it does to you and the negative benefit or the negative things that it does to your body and your recovery and all of that, and just like really understanding what's in that bottle or what's in that can, and what it's doing to you. And that really helped with me, or really helped me to not drink anymore.
Yeah. No, that's great. And that's so simple. I think people are always looking for some sort of magic pill or like, some motivational rah-rah speech when at the end of the day, and you just got to do it. You just got to recognize that doesn't align with my goals. And so therefore I'm not going to do it. And it's really that simple. I mean, plus, yeah, people always ask me all the time. They're like, I'm like, man, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? I'm like, you just get through it. Like, I wish I had something, wish I had some magic trick that I could tell you, but I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it is simple. Like, and it's just about changing the way you perceive your habits and what it's doing for you.
Yeah.
You know.
Awesome. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Uh, yeah, just that like the goals you have are so possible to get. Like you just are a few habits away from accomplishing the thing that you've always wanted to do, whether it be physically or in life. Just like I was saying, like the future version of you that's accomplished the goal. You just have to really identify what it is that what the habits are, how that person goes through the day, and just apply that as soon as possible and as immediate as possible so that you can get to that point quick.
Yeah.
You know?
No, 100%. Now, if you're listening to this and you need to lose some weight, he doesn't have to be extreme at losing 40 pounds in 6 months to a year, but Aaron has done it himself and he's helped over about 30 people this year alone accomplish a similar goal of that, or like, anywhere between 10 to 20 pounds. So you can find him at Red Wolf CrossFit. Just shoot us a DM and we can book you a free consultation with him or a free intro and we can take it from there.
Yeah, perfect. Or you can DM me at the Aaron Weber on Instagram. And yeah, same thing.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, good luck, have fun, and nailed it.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt.